Hey folks, how's it going? In this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to make orc tents. How are we doing, people? I'm Top Table Steve, and this is a quick video showing you how to make orc tents. Really sort of rough looking, rural sort of animal skins, branches, anything that orcs could get their hands on out in the wild. To build some sort of shelter for them to sleep in. I decided that I needed to make some of these for my Mordor board because I want an orc encampment on the board, and I did order some really nice orc tents from Eladan Miniatures, and they're great, they're fantastic. And when they came, I looked at them and I thought I could make those, and there was only 2 different types, which wasn't enough for what I needed. So I've decided I'm going to make another 3, all totally different, using the Eladan tents as inspiration, so they all tie in together. So let's get in front of the camera and show you how to do it. So as you can see, guys, I have 2 tents here, 2 orc tents, which I purchased unpainted from Eladan Miniatures. I'll post a link below. They came and they're actually a lot nicer than I expected them to be, and especially painted up, I think they look awesome. Now, looking at them, I did order some more tents from, these are the only 2 of each mould that they do. They don't do more than the 2. I could have got multiples and scattered them around, mixed them up, painted them a little bit differently, but I'm a bit odd like that. I don't like things repeated. As any of you who know me well, in my armies I convert a lot of models just so I don't have multiples, if at all possible, and time permitting. So I got to looking at these, and looking at them, I think I could replicate these fairly well and get some different shapes and sizes and looks. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put these to one side, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to attempt to make some orc tents. So to recreate these amazing orc tents by Eladan Miniatures, I've chosen to use the products that you've got in front of you. So I have some thin twine, which is going to act as rope. I've got some offcuts of styrofoam. You can use styrofoam, you can use normal polystyrene, whatever you've got to hand, it's offcuts. It's not going to be on show, it's basically just to bulk out the shape. So whatever you've got, you could even use plasticine, to be fair, to make the shape, and then put your green stuff on top of that. But it would tend to move as you're sculpting, I suppose. But yeah, it could be used, or anything. You could even do it over stones if you're struggling. Just you need to be able to get the rough shape of the tent, and then you're going to green stuff over it. We've got some gravel, which is I think it's fish tank gravel. I've got tons and tons of it. I can't remember where I got it from. I bought it years and years ago when I started doing boards. A big bag of it, and I've still got gravel. Twigs from the garden, from different types of plants and things. Some of them are dry, some of them are not. The ones that are not so dry I'm not going to use, but there is some nice dry stuff there. And then something that you're going to sculpt, some putty. So I've got green stuff and milliput. You can use one of each. You can just use green stuff if that's what you've got. I'm going to mix the green stuff with some milliput because it just makes it a little bit easier to use, and you get some cleaner shapes with it. So that's not what you have to do. If you've not got milliput, don't worry, you can just use green stuff. So let's move on and make a start. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is get our foam, and we're going to get a rough shape of how we want the tents to look. So looking at this, I've got a nice flat bottom which I'll use obviously for the bottom of the tent. It comes to a nice point here, so that's going to be the back end. I'm kind of going to follow the idea of the ones that I've got and just kind of go with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to straighten off this front area. Like so. I'm going to put the entranceway to the tent here eventually. So what I'll do now is just taper off towards the end, which kind of matches a similar shape to what they are. Again, remember, this is just to bulk out the shape. It doesn't have to be perfect. And as we can see here, I've got a rough shape. I've just put the doorway in. Again, very, very rough. Don't worry about what it looks like at this stage. So we're going to clean that off, I'm not even going to sand it or anything because the rough edges will help the putty stick to the foam. I'll do this with the other two, and yeah, we'll go from there. So this is all three together. These are the shapes that I'm going to be working with. So what I'll do is I'm going to work with all three of them at the same time, but I'm not going to show that all on camera. So I'll show you each stage, maybe on a different one or on one, and yeah, you can just follow my progress on one and see the different techniques on what we do. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is start adding the wooden supports. We may have to make adjustments as we go. Like I've just noticed that this here, this ridge would need to come off, so I'll carve that off like so, and on the other side. Just don't want that to show through the putty. So after doing that, we'll start sizing up for the supports. So this is a nice one here. I think we'll use that, yeah. So we'll just get our snips, we'll cut straight across there. And then also going to want ones going up either side, like so. And I want them to cross over, so I'm just going to cut them slightly oversized, like so. Oh, and that one's perfect. So we're going to use a hot glue gun and glue these on. So I'll put these supports up first. So we get our hot glue gun. And attach that. Now be careful with your fingers using a hot glue gun, because that happens and it's flipping hot. Yeah, I do need to invest in a new hot glue gun. The beauty of a hot glue gun is the glue sets very, very quick, and you can just crack on with what you're doing. So I'm going to stick this one across the front like that. So I'll get some glue on there, like so. Yep. Once the glue's set, you can start taking all these strands off, which is rather annoying, but there we go, it's the nature of it. And then the one at the back, so we're going to dry fit everything first, just to see how it sits. It sits really nice. So I'm going to run some glue down the back, like so, and put that on like that. Okay, so I'm going to pretty much do that with the other two smaller ones, and then we'll come back and show you the next stage. So there we go, all three tents are done. What I'm going to do now is mix up some putty and start applying it. So I'll get the putty mixed and then we'll come back on camera and show you what I'm doing. Okay, so I've mixed my putty. If we look closely, I'm not sure if we can get that to focus on there. Can you see? We can kind of see they've layered it so it looks like pelts of fur are layered on top of each other, and that's the way we're going to lay the putty on top. We're going to do it bit by bit rather than just covering the whole tent with putty. So we'll get our putty first, which is a mix. This is a mix of green stuff and milliput, and I'm just going to take a smaller ball like so. I'll put these two to one side. I'll start on the bigger one. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to make the ball, I'm going to press it onto an area and just flatten it out like so. I'm going to get one of my clay shapers and start flattening that out. And I'm going to do it, rather than it being circles, I'm going to try and do it so that it's kind of in the shape of a pelt, if that makes sense. So I'll spread this up here. And so get the rough shape. I'll then start smoothing it out. It's handy to have some water, although spit does help, but I wouldn't recommend that you use spit as you're messing around with putties. You don't know what chemicals are in there. So I'm going to spread that as if the arm of this pelt, if you like, goes over the timber strut. And again, you don't have to be too neat as you're spreading it out. because remember we're going to texture it. So that's my first one. Can you see that? I'm doing it in the corner of the screen, do apologise. That's my first one, my first pelt, so to speak. So I'm going to do different sizes, have them laying in different directions, and cover the tent with that, and then we'll start texturing. So when it comes to sculpting fur, there's loads of different ways that you can do it. I'm going to use this sculpting modelling tool. I think it's GW1. It's metal, but you can use whatever you've got. Ideally, you want something with a sharp point. So what we're going to do, I'm going to start on this pelt here. I'm not sure how well that will show up on camera that we've got a pelt here, and I'm going to, excuse the ping, get my sculpting tool, and I'm going to start at the edge of the pelt, and I'm going to start moving away. Can you see that? So basically just feathering the edge of the pelt like so. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have, imagine this is the back of an animal that it's come from, this pelt. So I'm going to imagine a line of, just put a small indentation there. That's going to be where his spine would be. So the fur on this side is going to go that way, and then the fur on this side is going to go that way. So once we've got all the edges feathered like so, yep, we're then going to feather again. Try and keep your tool wet because it stops grabbing the putty then. We're then going to feather on top like so, going over what you've just done, and it creates like a little ridge, and it looks quite nice. So I'm going to do that on all this side of the pelt, and then we'll come back. Yep, and then I'm going to do the other side of what would have been the animal's spine, again starting at the edge and working our way back into the centre, and I'll do that and then we'll come back. And that's the first pelt done. I'm going to do that on the rest of the pelts, and then cover the rest of the tent in the putty and do the same on there and on the other two tents, and then we'll come back once I've done that. Okay, so we've got the texture roughly on there. What I want to do, if we look at these, you've got these stones which are kind of holding the furs down. I want to add that, so I'm just going to add a bit of a, I'm not going to add too many on this side because I'm just going to show you how I plan to do it. And it's basically a sausage of putty which I'm going to put on the edge, which is going to look like an overlap, and I'm just going to add that to there like that. Yep. And then I'm going to get some of my stones. I want fair size ones, I'll put 3 on. And that's a nice one, I'll put that one on. And we are going to add them to the putty, like this. You can put them on by hand or tweezers. I'm just using tweezers so they don't stick. Like that. And then what I'm going to do is texture the putty in between to be more for the exact same way. And there we go, that's our stones added. So I'm going to now, on this side, show you what I'm going to do with the rope. And yeah, this is the easiest bit, I think. So we've got our twine. And all I'm going to do, get myself a nice straight edge, hopefully with no frays on it. Like so. And on here, I'm just going to start. There's my tool. The beauty of working while the putty's still wet, it will grab. And I'm just going to start adding like pieces of rope as if they're tying the pelts together, so to speak. I'm going to do some more what are wrapped around the wooden struts, but I'll come to that later on in the video. So what we want with this one is it going into this here, like so. And what I'm going to do just where it enters is create a hole. So it looks like the rope goes into it, like so. Okay, and when all the putty's set and I've got all the ropes on that I want, I am going to put some watered down PVA onto the twine to stiffen it up, because it'll be a pain to paint whilst it's like that, but once you get PVA on it and it becomes has a structure to it and it's a bit more solid, you can paint it quite easy. It doesn't look exactly the same as the ones they've used. They've used quite a nice twine as like a nice rope effect on it. So I'm going to have a look round on eBay and Amazon and things and see if I can find any that looks like that, but this will do fine for this project as I'm just adding to the tents. So I'm going to go on and add some more of the ropes just so it looks like a very unorganised Orcish build. Put the rest of the putty on the tent and do the others, and then we'll come back. So guys, just showing you update. I've added the green stuff and textured it. I've added some rocks around the side, and as you can see, some of the twine, which looks like rope. I'm really happy with how they turned out. I think they look cool. I've got one more to do, but what I'm going to do, I will do that another time, because there is actually something I want to do with the third one, which I will show you guys once it's done. But that's pretty much a quick how to make an orc tent. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Really easy, really quick to make. If you want to see more stuff like this, do comment below and I'm sure that I can make it happen. Stuff like this sort of really gets the juices flowing, and like I say, it's really easy. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll get back in front of the camera and chat to you in a second. There we go guys, that's how I've made the tents. What do you guys think? Are you going to have a go? Make sure you let me know below. Also let me know, like I said earlier, if you want to see more stuff like this. They're really quick for me to film and really easy for me to do at home. So I'm more than happy to do stuff like this. There's other things that I want to do, a lot of kind of fantasy town type stuff, ruined buildings and things like that on camera. Because I've done them in the past, I kind of know how to do them, and looking back at some of my past projects, I already know that I can improve on them. So if you'd like to see stuff like that, do comment below. If I get enough comments, then I'll do it. Yeah, so I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out all our links below. We have an affiliate scheme with Element Games. You get massive discounts there on all your hobby needs, all your models and miniatures and paints and things like that. We have a Patreon which helps us create these videos and get the equipment I'm recording this video on. So it really does help, and it's you guys, the Patreons, who kind of sort of let us do what it is we like to do and you guys like to watch, if that makes sense. And there's loads of other links on there for our Facebook, Twitter and Instagram and things like that, so do check those out. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care people, see you soon.